So, welcome to another episode of Soundtrack of Our Lives. I'm here this morning with Adam, who is a DJ / entertainer from Excalibur, I believe.
Yeah, good morning, how are you all doing? Or afternoon, wherever you may be, whenever you're listening.
Whatever the time is where you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself and Excalibur and what you do.
Yeah, I'm a fat grumpy old man who turns 50 this year, but I loved music for years, and it's kind of what keeps me young and active, gets me out of the house, going to gigs, working with bands, entertainers, just listening to music. Even if I don't go out of the house, I just normally have the music on instead of the telly. Yeah, so it's all good.
Makes it a lot. It's just better, isn't it? You've got to pick your playlist, and whatever mood you're in that day, you've got something to suit. And or if you're working, I find some things help me be more productive and more creative. So yeah, it's always good. And then you also, there's a couple of other things that I've seen you do, because we've been connected on socials for quite a few years now. Geocaching, I think.
So I spent a long time running a geocaching magazine. So taught myself some graphic design, taught myself how to do a magazine. I wish I taught myself how to spell correctly and do all the proofreading, because ultimately that wasn't brilliant. But yeah, travelled all over the UK and parts of the world looking for hidden Tupperware boxes in hollow trees.
But there's a whole community there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's millions worldwide.
There's millions of people that are out trying to locate whatever it is that might be there.
Yeah. And it's not just about finding whatever the container is. The real treasure is the moments that you have, the places that you find, the people that you meet.
Yeah.
You don't make many memories just by sat at home on your sofa.
No.
You've got to get out of the house.
It makes a duller distance, doesn't it? So if you're out and about and you, like you say, the finding things out is one thing, but it's the sort of sense of community, I think, that everybody loves that in these sort of groups. Yeah,
very much so.
Okay, and as I always say, all of your details, so anything to do with Excalibur or the geocaching, if you still do it, always we'll put that in the description so people can get in touch with you and follow you on that front. Right, we'll kick off then with your first song choice today, Adam, and this is, funny enough, I was getting a bit of grief about this because I mentioned something yesterday or the day before about what's, you've just found your Walkman from the 80s or the 90s, what cassette would be in it, and mine was a Phil Collins album. And some people just seem to have this weird thing about Phil Collins, and I don't understand why. The guy's a legend.
Yes.
He's an absolute legend.
Yeah.
So here's your first choice, and what song have you picked?
Yeah, the first track that I picked was Phil Collins, as you've alluded to, and it was a track, one of the less popular ones, I Missed Again. Brilliant track. It was all about fresh starts, getting on and getting out there and doing stuff. At the time, I was going to a youth club in the Central Hall in Coventry, and I didn't really want to speak to other kids because I'm a bit antisocial at times, and certainly back then. So I hid myself with the music. So I took over the record player. We had about 7 or 8 singles that were pretty dire, but the best of the bunch was the Phil Collins, so I had that on repeat.
So that's what's giving you, so as a kid you were a little bit more or a bit less keen on mixing with others, and this kind of music has given you, and probably where you love the music is stemmed from, isn't it? And
from there people started enjoying the fact that I was putting a song on, so then we started getting more a wider choice, then we got some lights and we got better speakers, and before we know it we had a disco in the youth club.
That's it, and you've been running discos ever since, so from a very young age. But what a song to start with as well, fantastic song, like I say, one of his earlier tracks, but just the guy's just superb in my opinion. And then also talking of vinyl, I think it was Vinyl Revival Day yesterday or something. I heard
it was certainly recently, yes.
On radio shows yesterday, and your second choice, and this is someone so I do a little fun thing on Facebook every December with I call it a music challenge. It's not really that challenging, but it's picking a song that fits the subject of the day, and quite often you always join in, which is great. And you've picked one that I see you pick a few times on these challenges, is Shakin Stevens. And what song have you gone for?
I've gone for This Old House.
And why have you picked that?
It was just, at the time, because it's got those sort of rock and roll roots, it was quite different to a lot of the other songs that were around. It was an outside video with a rather decrepit old house. The singer wasn't quite so old and decrepit in his icon double denim, or his pink jacket, but not in that video. But yeah, really classic song, different from everything else that was around. Nice beat, and the lyrics were good as well. So
yeah, and it's I think sometimes as well when you're a bit younger, it's something that just grabs your imagination, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you hear something like you said, it's just a little bit different than what's out there. This was an early '80s song, 1981, and it was a very different track. And you hear it on Top of the Pops or whatever it might have been. Well, there wasn't much else around then, was there? And think actually that's the one for me. And this, you said here, is the first record you ever purchased.
Yeah, first thing I bought on vinyl, 7-inch vinyl.
Which makes it even more special, isn't it? Because that's always a memorable track. Okay. Your third choice of the day then, legendary band Pink Floyd and Comfortably Numb.
Yeah, brilliant track. I remember watching the film The Wall many times. Iconic song from that film, and obviously the album as well. And one of the first big gigs that I went to was an Australian Pink Floyd tribute band.
Yeah.
And they had the biggest mirror ball you could imagine, and obviously in a big stadium with lots and lots of very powerful lighting, they absolutely flooded the room with a mirror ball, and the song as they did that was Comfortably Numb.
So that with the size of this mirror ball then and all the lighting, the visual spectacle, it's obviously stuck in your head.
Yeah, it's like bang. I mean, I liked the song before I saw the gig, but seeing that and having that moment, I've talked earlier on about moments. Yeah. You don't make memories sat at home on your sofa. You've got to get out.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone out and gone to the gig, I wouldn't have had that memory.
So you've never had that experience of some, and it is special, isn't it? And you can't ever replicate it again. It's just a particular time, and then absolutely brilliant. And as they all said, that you first got into them after you come home from the pub after a couple of too many sherbets.
Yeah.
And saw them on a live gig.
Yeah, they had on the telly. It was the Pulse concert. It was on the TV, it might have been on Sky Arts or something like that.
Yeah.
No idea what I was watching, no idea who Pink Floyd were really, and just thought, put this on, I quite like this in the married state that I was in.
This will do for me, yeah. I think that's probably my favourite Pink Floyd track actually, Comfortably Numb. It's just phenomenal. And then your fourth choice for today is Elton John. Tiny Dancer. I mean, he's got quite a few hits, so it's tricky to pick just the one, isn't it, from this song? It certainly is. Yeah. What made you choose this one in particular?
Well, I've been around music and I like music for many years, many decades now. And Elton John's been around for all of those. But he's never really been on my radar to the extent of other people. And there was the biopic that came out a few years ago now with Taron Egerton, Rocket Man, and I really like the way that they set parts of the story in the film to the tracks that were his. Yeah. And there was a brilliant sequence where he had got quite upset about something that had happened, and Tiny Dancer started, and that song, a bit like we were saying about Shakin Stevens, because it was something different. For some reason that one just struck a chord and stuck in my head, and now I like Elton John, guilty pleasure.
Yeah, and again, I don't, similar to Phil Collins, I don't know perhaps why people have and obviously not everyone, because he's one of the biggest stars of the past 50 years, isn't he, quite comfortably. But people do seem to have a weird attitude towards him, and he's an incredibly talented man. I think he did his final ever tour last year? Was it Goodbye Elliott Road, I think, where he went on his last ever tour?
Yeah.
Because obviously the line's getting on a bit.
Played out at Glastonbury, didn't he?
Yeah. Was that his last ever performance?
Yeah, till his next one, that was his last.
Yeah. So yeah, interested to see whether he stays that way, because sometimes they change their mind, don't they? But I hope he does.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it kind of takes away from the people that want to go and see him and perform on his last gigs. But yeah, he has some fantastic songs. He's not particularly my cup of tea, Elton John. I don't dislike his songs, but he's incredibly talented and he's made some brilliant tracks. And I mean, your last choice really made me smile when I saw this. And this is Terry Jacks, Maybe Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So why chose this particular one?
If we say Terry Jacks, Maybe Tomorrow, a lot of people might not know what we're talking about.
No.
If we say the theme tune to The Littlest Hobo, those of a certain age are going to remember that the TV show with, I think it was the Alsatian, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That sort of wandered between person to person as like a good Samaritan. So we might go and befriend the tramp, and the tramp would then have a new dog, and more people would come and speak to the tramp because of the dog, and that meant he was able to move on, get more money and get himself in a better position. It might be that there was a single mum who was struggling with a baby, and the dog befriends the single mum, and that helps take all the pressure. The mum's got someone she can look after as well as the baby, and so this dog, each episode would just go from one situation to another, helping different people, and whenever that person was ready or dealt with whatever it was that they were facing at the time, mental health issues, loneliness, anxiety, whatever it was, the dog had served its purpose and kind of moved on, almost like a prequel to Quantum Leap. Taking the sci-fi out of it, it was just a dog.
Yeah, just this lovely little dog.
And it helped people and move on, and I feel that I'm a little bit like that. I don't necessarily set particularly well in situations, so I'll try something, go in, do what I've got to do, whether I help somebody get what they need out of it, or whether it ticks a box for me, and then it's right, on to the next thing. What's the next?
Yeah, so it sort of resonates with how you kind of go through life, really.
Yeah.
You just get involved with something for a short time or a long time or whatever it might be, and then you feel it serves its purpose, or you've helped somebody, and then you go, right, now time for me to move on and tackle or do something else.
Yeah, and we see the same in sort of music, music styles and things come and go. We'll go through a phase where it's bands or groups, and then it'll be a phase of just solo artists, and everything sort of comes in waves. Rubbish bands. But no, it's really, really good.
Yeah, and I mean the show, for anybody watching it, I'm sure there's probably episodes that you can see on YouTube, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Go and have a watch. I haven't watched it since I watched it as a kid, so it might be something that hasn't dated particularly well.
No, I don't think it has.
No, but the minute when I saw that, I knew immediately what the song was, and it just made me all kind of warm and fuzzy, because it took me back to those really nice times as a kid, and everything was so, I don't know, pure's not the right word, but it was just so wholesome and everything
seemed so much simpler back then. Maybe we're all younger and weren't caught up with the trials and tribulations of being an adult, and bills and mortgages and debts and
all the fun that comes with being a grown up. Kind of takes a shine off it, doesn't it, sometimes? But it does. It just made me think, actually, maybe sometimes we do overcomplicate things and stress about things that we need to be stressed about, and it's pretty cool. But that really just made me smile the minute I saw it. It was just brilliant. And that's the first time actually someone has chosen a song from a TV show.
Okay.
Which is a first for the podcast. But really good. So really enjoyed your selections there. Got a decent variety, and thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for the invite, and those of you that are listening at home, work, or Skyping off, or wherever you may be, I hope you're enjoying them as well. Hopefully they'll stick in your head and you'll get some earworms
That's it. And I'll pop all the songs in the description with the links, so you can go and have a listen to them. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, if they don't get the links straight away, then maybe tomorrow they could have a look at the links.
Again, yeah. Cheers, Adam.
Cheers.